Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SubQuery's client interview series. And today I am joined by Thomas from User. It's a silent Y, made that mistake, but for everyone it's User. Hey Thomas.
Hey, great. Thanks for having me, James. I'm awesome. I'm feeling awesome and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, hey, let's jump into it. So do you want to introduce User for everyone listening here today? What do you guys do? What's your story?
Yeah, totally. So User is a social NFT marketplace. So essentially, we're taking the benefits of the discoverability and ease of use of social media applications, and we're partnering that with the awesome monetization opportunities of the DeFi and NFT space. So we've built an application where instead of likes, you earn our own token called gems when you share content and you like each other's content. And then we also have a built-in marketplace where you can mint and you can sell your content. So we're trying to, as much as possible, make sure that artists, musicians, creators, etc., are benefiting as much as possible from the growth of our platform. And that's how we've designed it from the get-go.
No, awesome. And so you're basically making it very easy to get into the whole NFT space, for artists and musicians to participate and be rewarded. And that's a really great thing, right? That's something that we completely agree with, that we need to build applications and platforms that really make it easy for people to jump in. So you're right now in Moon River and Moonbase Alpha. Obviously, I guess you have plans to go to Moonbeam as well.
Yes, absolutely.
It's been exciting seeing them launch just recently and the
Very
growth of
exciting.
the protocol. Yeah, it's like a whole another new layer one chain that's just within Polkadot,
Yeah.
which I guess is what Polkadot aimed to do. But tell me about how is going and working in Beam and the Moon River and Moonbase ecosystems. How has that been different from if you went down the pure Ethereum path or another?
I suppose the key thing that a lot of people would point out about Polkadot is interoperability. The term we use for having it easy to communicate between more than one blockchain or more than one system. And so that for us is key, because if we want to reach that future where we can build ease of use applications where somebody can walk into a store and they can just worry about buying bread instead of having to worry about what token they have or what blockchain that they're using. If we don't have interoperability, we can't build that future, because we're going to forever have these siloed blockchains that are having a difficult time working together and making it difficult for application developers to actually build those ease of use platforms.
And working Polkadot obviously changes that, or makes that really prevalent, doesn't it? And it's something we have at SubQuery. You have to design everything in Polkadot so that it's interoperable, so that it does work on different ecosystems. And I guess that infers that you're starting to, cast your eye out wider at different protocols in Polkadot network, and we might see User on different parachains potentially in the future.
That's definitely, there's a good probability of.
Something to always think about. And there's a lot of, it's interesting because I understand User, you're based on Solidity, you're an EVM, and there's a lot of parachains, and we're seeing a lot at SubCro. We're seeing a lot of parachains implement that frontier EVM solution because it's such a successful way to get developers like User into
Absolutely.
the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Uh,
What Moonbeam did, they're ahead of their time. They're really breaking waves, and yeah, we applaud them for everything that they've done, both from a development standpoint as well as from a support standpoint. They've been amazing.
yeah, no, they're very much an excellent team, and we enjoy working with them as well. And we're in constant communication with them. So tell me, Thomas, what's some of the best examples of NFTs that you've seen on your platform or out there that you think are where the future's going?
Yeah, what we're really excited about is the emergence of not only the opportunities that are out there to monetize NFTs beyond actually just the selling of the digital asset itself, the merger of physical products with that. A lot of what's happening in the music space is really interesting to us. And we really, as a multi-content purpose platform, we really want to work with musicians and artists that are collaborating to create new types of synesthetic content that can be consumed in multiple different settings in multiple different ways, can be reused and remixed, etc. Some of the really great content that's on the platform, we have like amazing artists, AK-47AD, Salvo in 3D. There's just countless ones producing awesome and amazing artwork that fit within not only existing NFT niches, but are trying to expand and explore breaking down those barriers. We actually believe that we're on the cusp of a new content revolution paradigm. And that's primarily because within the last 20 years, it's been really hard to monetize content. Thanks to Napster and the internet, it became hugely possible for us to get that 15 minutes of fame, but to get that 15 more minutes of fortune translated from that fame is being really difficult. So we actually believe that the opportunity is here now for artists and musicians, all sorts of different types of content creators, to create new types of content with the types of tools that we now have available, which, both from the 3D to the metaverse to even traditional tool sets, they're evolving so quickly that now, if there's finally a financial support structure for independent or brand new up and coming artists to take advantage of, we believe that we're going to see types of content that we haven't seen before.
No, excellent. And Yuser talks about being a social app, a social marketplace. What does that mean in the terms of NFTs?
So really it comes down to discoverability and ease of use. So as developers, we often talk about the huge promise of the technologies that we're working with.
The
But
features and functionality.
the features, yeah, exactly. We talk about even the philosophy backing what we're doing, right? Because obviously there's a philosophical shift when adopting these types of technologies. They work fundamentally differently, like moving from a traditional database to a blockchain. So, especially decentralized blockchain. But most people, right, we're still sitting under that 10% adoption here across the globe. Most people don't quite understand what we're talking about. They don't get what we're talking about. They don't get what's so amazing about what we're doing or what we're working on. So unless you can make this type of technology palatable or provide similar UI to other types of applications or technology that they're aware of, fear and lots of other emotional responses come into play, because it can be overwhelming. It can be simply overwhelming. So ease of use is critical here, and that's why
Mm.
it's a huge focus of what we're working on. Two,
I talk about like the parent test, right, Thomas? Like, how can you build an application that's so easy that your parents can use it?
exactly. MetaMask, as amazing as a tool as it is, and how liberating it is to have that kind of interface tool, a lot of people find even setting up MetaMask hugely daunting. That's what we're dealing with, right? When we're trying to champion this new technology, is we have to realize that expectations are quite high in terms of ease of use. So, and the second to that is really discoverability. Lots of NFT marketplaces are doing hugely well at helping to democratize the whole process of earning and monetizing your content. And it's amazing. And kudos to so many of the other platforms out there that are doing so well at that. Where we're trying to help the community is by making your content as discoverable as it can be on platforms like that's really what we believe is a missing component to the existing NFT artist community. Not only is it something that other people expect when they come into this, is like, how do I get discovered? I want to get discovered, right? But it's something that is essentially still missing in this ecosystem. It's very hard to get discovered right now.
So is that like a lot of social sharing tools and baked into Yuser? Is that what that
Yeah.
means?
Essentially, Yuser is a social network, just like
Mm.
any other social network in many respects. However, we replaced some critical aspects to how it works to start to move it towards a completely decentralized application that takes advantage and benefits of the ethos of blockchain, decentralized blockchain.
Well, that's quite interesting. You know, a lot of people in our industry have looked at those traditional social media networks and what could almost be described as the worst of Web 2
Yeah.
and have shunned that. But you're trying to merge it and I guess merge it into this new world.
Yeah. So basically, we started off from the perspective of knowing that social media was broken. What we wanted to do was to fix what was broken about social media, but then take the benefits of social media and combine that with the decentralized blockchain technology and ethos. And that's really what we've been working on, is trying to fix social media and trying to improve decentralized applications.
And the other benefit, obviously, you're building a bridge or a portal to pull people from this old way of the world
Yes,
into NFTs through
exactly.
using. That's epic.
Exactly.
And doing that in a really user-friendly way. I imagine you spend a lot of time working on user experience and making sure your applications are really easy to use.
Easy to use, fast is a part of that as well, which plays into part of why we started to check out SubQuery and what you guys were working on.
Yeah, tell us, how do you use SubQuery and User, and how's it helped you get faster?
So essentially, SubQuery was the right middleman that we were looking for. The blockchain is incredibly hard to read, fast, quick. And so we were looking at doing something similar ourselves, but we realized that what you guys were onto could save us a significant amount of time and resources, especially as a smaller team, perhaps not the smallest startup team, but a startup team of 6 developers. We needed to figure out a way to cut out a huge chunk of time that we were looking at, and the huge pain of basically reading from the blockchain quickly. So what SubQuery does incredibly well is it actually helps to ensure that when you're reading from the blockchain, you don't miss data, because it can be incredibly slow to query data from the blockchain. If your server experiences a timeout, you're going to miss information. And that's when you're talking about transactional data, when you're talking about financial data, that can't happen. And that's part of the beauty and the benefit of blockchain. And so for us, when we set out to integrate Moonriver and make sure that we could build the best marketplace that integrates into a social application where the expectations are less than half a millisecond response time, in order to be able to do that, we needed to store the data in a database. Now, SubQuery comes with an amazing GraphQL database interface, which is awesome, but we knew that we needed to integrate it with our own database. And SubQuery still allowed us to do that, which was awesome. And it ensured that every bit of data was, in fact, stored in the database, because what your system does beautifully is if something fails, if there's a timeout or there's an error, you go back to the right block that where you were and store that or transmit that, allow us to listen to that. And that's a secondary component of SubQuery that was awesome.
Trust me, Thomas, it's been a lot of work to get that retry logic set up and absolutely set down, because it's critical that you don't miss anything, because that then screws up the rest of the data that you get. It's been a nightmare for us, but I'm happy that someone's benefiting from it. So you're using obviously SubQuery is open source.
Yep.
You've adapted SubQuery, so rather than using the default GraphQL endpoint, you're just at least putting that data in a database and then using that in your own stack in your own way. The joys of open source software.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And what does that mean for a user, I guess? Obviously, speed is important in the front end. We're talking about milliseconds now, or hundreds of milliseconds to get the data that you need for the application?
We're talking about hundreds of milliseconds and sometimes seconds, but ensuring that we have the right data and to be able to manipulate in the way that we need in order to inform everything from profiles. Like we, for instance, launched our own NFT called Next Gems. And that NFT collection actually has functionality that is rendered within Yuser in order to make sure that even our backend server was able to get the appropriate data quick enough to now make several checks to go, okay, this person now has access to these features because they're an official hodler or holder of a Next Gem. That was critical. And as soon as we started testing internally, response times were just so slow, and we'd constantly time out and not get the requisite data that we needed, and it ended up producing a user experience that was just suboptimal, especially when compared to all the other facets of the application that already exist and run so efficiently and effectively.
And so SubQuery is be able to help with that. That's awesome. All right. I guess I always ask this for everyone that comes on, and I'm kind of curious to hear your view, Thomas. Like a lot of people look at Polkadot and look at blockchain and think they want to get involved in the ecosystem. What's your advice for someone? You're a startup, a little bit of a larger startup, but what's your advice for someone thinking about starting a new business or building a new application or getting started in the ecosystem? What's your advice to them?
Find partners. Find bright minds, attract advisors with those that have experience in the community. Fortunately, Bitcoin's been around since 2009. Fortunately, there's been a series of evolutionary periods in which there has been a significant adoption, however small compared to the rest of society. So there are a lot of experts out there. So find people that you can know and trust and have great expertise in the area, and that will help you significantly. There's also amazing educational resources everywhere that are starting to pop up. So meetups are sometimes the best way simply to get involved in the space. Find your local, or if you can't find a local meetup, find the closest city with a local meetup. I can't tell you how valuable it is. The first meetup that we ran, and we bumped into some amazing people that are even now on Moonbeam and Moonriver that we met in late 2017. Those types of connections, you can't underestimate how powerful they might come into play later in your development process.
there certainly is an ecosystem here where everyone's trying to share knowledge, because everyone realizes that the faster that we all move towards this kind of future goal that we're all aiming for, the better for everyone, right? There's no kind of
Absolutely.
hoarding of information. It's very,
Absolutely. Do not be afraid to collaborate in this space. That's what I would say.
and it saves you time and it saves you effort, as we've seen here today.
Exactly. And you
Hey,
guys have been
Thomas,
awesome.
awesome. No, it's great. It's great working for you guys. And thank you very much for joining us today and taking the time to talk. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It
Cheers,
was a
Thomas.
pleasure talking to you as always, James. Thanks so much.